So let us begin. It is 9 o'clock, and happy to connect with you this morning. So let us place our awareness in the area of our hearts. And take slow, deep breaths. Visualize these flowing in and out of your heart. Taking slow, deep breaths. And just settling in. Make these breaths symmetrical. By that I mean, draw these breaths in for 5 seconds, and when you exhale, draw them out or exhale for 5 seconds, or any time frame that's suitable and comfortable for you. The deeper, the better. Beautiful. There's a resonance in your body that's created when you take these slow, deep breaths. If you take these breath cycles, that means one inhale, one exhale, 10 times in 1 minute, that's a perfect resonance, which means you're taking a breath in every 5 seconds and exhaling every 5 seconds. It's a perfect resonance. As a matter of fact, the heart coherence is measured by this frequency. Beautiful. This very simple technique is more powerful than anyone can imagine, because it sets into motion a calibration of your autonomic nervous system. This is the calibration that says this is your new normal. And when you take these slow, deep breaths and visualize them flowing in and out of your heart, even though you're breathing through your nose or your mouth, but just visualizing them flowing into your heart and exhaling from your heart, your body's calibrating to that perfect heart coherence space. So do this when you wake up in the morning, just while you're laying in your bed. Slow, deep breaths. And you will see time slowing down for you. You'll be able to do a lot more in a day, and you will be able to do it without panic. Beautiful. The idea here is just letting go and it being an allowance. By that I mean, allow the thoughts to pass through your mind. Do not engage the thoughts. Even if these thoughts are inspirational in nature, trust that if they're important enough, they'll come back to you. Wonderful. Beautiful. Wonderful. Great practice, everyone. Thank you so much for joining me this morning. Today's topic is an interesting one, and humanity has known this particular scientific fact for a long time, and their conclusion has allowed them to realize that you can actually condition someone to think in a certain way. And I'd like to share with you my perspective on this experiment. So many of us have heard of Pavlov, who has a famous experiment that actually touched off the whole classical conditioning area in psychology. And so in his experiment, and he lived around the late 1800s, and I think he lived until 1936 or something. So around that time, near the turn of the last century, he did this experiment where he was measuring the salivation rates of dogs. So he would put food in front of them, and then measure how much their digestion process triggered the saliva in their mouth, and then he would measure the rates of salivation. And as he was doing this, he realized that when the lab assistants were open, now these animals, or this particular dogs, were isolated and in a cage, so to speak, and they would present the food to them, and then they would measure the salivation rates. But what he found out was when the lab assistants opened the door, the dogs began salivating before they even saw the food. So this led him to conclude that basically when you create a stimulus which is unrelated to the actual experiment, that there's an anticipation factor, and the dog automatically, the body automatically responds. Okay, so essentially, without the presence of food, just opening the door in the anticipation, because the dog was so conditioned that the food would be presented right after that event, that the dog began to salivate before the food was even presented. Pavlov tried this with bells, ringing a bell, opening the door, and presenting the food. And every time he rang the bell, he realized that before he even presented the food, the dog began salivating. And so he realized that there was something that triggers an event. Now, how does that apply to human beings and us? If we have a sort of a trauma situation where before we had a traumatic experience, we heard sirens, for example, unrelated to our traumatic experience. Let's say we were confronted by a dog and we were bitten by a dog, but just before being bitten by a dog, there was a siren that was going off. Is it possible that every time we hear sirens that we jump out of our skin? And is it possible that we don't even know why we're doing that? We just know that we're scared of that. And so we may conclude that we're afraid of police or authorities or ambulances, and not knowing that it was actually a preconditioned process, because your emotions were so traumatized by one event that an unrelated thing created that. So when you think about what happens to us in this mode, is that how many of these little triggers are we walking around with in our bodies, not knowing whether they're really triggered by that person who I am, really feeling anxious about, or is it triggered by the fact that in my childhood there was someone who looked like that person who treated me poorly, and that person just reminds me of that person in the childhood where I was so traumatized that I'm triggered by this person now. I guess that is something that you have to unravel. The key is that we must always, always, always ask ourselves, whenever we're triggered, we must ask ourselves, is this mine? What is it causing? Why is it causing this? And then dive deep into your heart and do these techniques, because the wisdom of the heart will emerge. It may not emerge right away, but it will emerge tomorrow or the next day, but it will emerge. You just have to stay in your heart space. Okay? So that was my take on Pavlov and his theory and how that applies to each of us. Well, because we are all classically conditioned. Right? Yes, Will and Lou, great picture of the pup. What a beautiful pup, huh? I know. Thank you. Now, let us continue with our deep breathing techniques. We will kick it up a notch, and we are going to do the quick coherence technique. So let us place our awareness in the area of our heart and take slow, deep breaths. Visualize these flowing in and out of our hearts. Take a few breaths like this. And make these breaths symmetrical. The amount of time that you draw a breath in is the same amount of time that you exhale from your heart. And although you're breathing from your nose or your mouth, you are visualizing these breaths flowing in and out of your heart. Beautiful. And now experience a positive feeling such as love, appreciation, peace, gratitude. Bring that experience forward. Because just as an unwanted experience is triggered by something that's not related, let us let's use the same classical conditioning to actually create something in our favor. So bring forward a past experience that makes us feel amazing. In the Pavlovian sense, what makes us salivate, even though that situation hasn't presented itself, and it's not in the real terms in front of us right now. What makes us salivate? And bring that forward. Are we experiencing gratitude for everything we have? Are we in appreciation for the wonderful people in our lives, the support we have, the community we have? Draw that into your heart and take those slow, deep breaths. And visualize these breaths flowing in and out of your heart. Very nice. Each of us is connected in this way. Each of us on this call especially, and those who will listen in the future, will do this breathing technique with us. And it is happening now. Because when people are going to listen to us, the potentials are already there, that they will hear this and practice this with us. And those that practice this with us will feel this energy of this collective, and we are feeling their energy now. Because that is what quantum mechanics is all about. So feel that energy right now and connect from the heart in a multidimensional way as you experience gratitude, compassion, and draw from that well that is being deposited by all of us. Because we're all shining our compassion right now for everyone to draw from. And this is an infinite well, an infinite source for us to draw upon at any time. So let us do that. It is there for us to draw on. Slow, deep breaths. Visualize these flowing in and out of your heart. Beautiful. When you experience these positive feelings, your immune system is boosted for up to 6 hours. So continue this practice even after we end today, knowing that your immune system is recovering. All your disease cells are repairing right now. Your stress response has been curbed right now, just from this practice. Know that your heart is now sending more information to the brain than the brain will send to the heart. And that's actually been known since the 1800s. And so this communication right now is clean and clear. And you are in resonance between your heart and your mind. Thank you for joining us today. And that was our 15 minutes. We are happy, I am happy, to take any questions for the next 15 minutes. As an optional, if you want to stay, that's wonderful. To stay for 15 more minutes, it would be my honor and privilege to respond to your Q&A. Type them into the chat area, and I'd be happy to answer. So as you're thinking of questions, if you don't have any questions, of course we will end it right here. But if you do, this is the time to ask. And of course, you can always email me via any questions. I'm happy to respond to this group. And while you're doing that, I wanted to share with you something that I'm doing. I'm creating a new platform to deliver all of this Espresso shot, deliver my 21-day group coaching program, and deliver a mastermind program, which is what I'm starting, where every month we'll get together for a live webinar, and then we'll support you throughout the question and answer period. And so it's going to be a continuous engagement, and we will walk together on this journey. We will walk together to try and break through, find breakthrough for our issues, our internal belief systems. We want to break through them. Anything that's limiting us in life, anything that we are self-sabotaging. You know, we talk about the classical conditioning as an example of realizing that we are conditioned, and what we have to do is there are some triggers in us that we need to overcome and break through. And I've realized this after having connected with so many individuals who have helped with the breakthrough. And when I realized how simple it is to help them see their greatness and magnificence, how simple it is to be able to achieve that, and it is very simple. I've had great realizations from my clients and people on this program and people on the online group coaching program within days of practicing and coaching. And so I'm inspired by that. Yes, let me see this. There's some people who are typing in, and I'm about to just respond to that. So give me 1 second. Janet, your comments. It has been 3 weeks of crisis and crunch, and heart math fell by the way. So this morning the tears were flowing. Wonderful. And you know, when that's wonderful that you're able to join, and this helped. You know, whenever you are triggered, and that's really where the heartache comes in. Recognize that, to get in tune with your body. Recognize it, and then go into this breathing technique. You know, I tell people, I said, you know, there's no excuse for not doing this, because you are going to breathe anyways, and you feel emotions anyways. I mean, those are happening. So why not choose this breathing technique? Why not choose a positive emotion? Remember what happened to Pavlov. When a door opened, he got excited. Pavlov's dog, I mean. He got excited and he began to salivate. And that salivation created biological responses in the body, in anticipation, in happiness. And that's really what happens. You don't even have to have the person you love in front of you, or the person you appreciate in front of you. You just think about them and your body responds. That's exactly how this works. Thank you, Janet. Thank you. I appreciate that reminder that we can actually take charge whenever we need to, right? Thank you. Will and Lou, your comments. Appreciated the reminder that within this now moment is all that was and all that will be, and all the potentials contained within one instance. Actually, it's within one state. It is a state of being, and it's outside of, because there's no such thing as time and space. There's no such thing as before and after. It's all there one. So anybody who's listening to this 100 years from now is right now connecting with us outside the veil. We just have to tap into that, which is such a beautiful notion. Thank you for that, Will. Janet, we often fall away from remembering that we need to be in the now. Thank you, Will and Lou. Yes, wonderful, Will and Lou. Lane, lost your voice after the last breathing, but no matter, just stayed in appreciation breath. Yes, I'm sorry you lost the last one, but you will see it in the replay. But you know what? The energies are still there. The energies are still there. How beautiful. Excellent. Thank you so much. Wonderful. It's been wonderful. All right. I don't see any more comments or questions coming through. So I am going to, in respect of your time, I will say goodbye. And if there are any questions, send me an email. And next Monday, remember, I won't be broadcasting live. I'll be at the Cryon Discovery Conference here in the beautiful Kananaskis. And so, solar eclipse, Cryon Conference, wow, it's going to be an awesome week for me. And I'll be sending you all the love from that. And I look forward to connecting with you live, not next Monday, but the Monday after that. I believe we're already in September now. Time does fly. Thank you so very much. Thank you. And have a happy solar eclipse day today. Remember, don't look directly into the sun. Not a good idea. All right? Take care. Bye-bye.